Rabbi Feig introduce her, but before I do that, I just want to remind everybody, we've really had an amazing Israel series. We've had 2 sessions, one on Jerusalem, one on Israeli elections, and each of the speakers have been better than the previous one, and our next one's coming up on Tuesday the 17th, next Tuesday morning. It's from 8 to 9.
It's hard to hear you a little bit.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to let you know also before we start that next week is the 3rd in our Israel series. It's on next Tuesday morning at 8. And we've had some amazing speakers. One spoke about the Israeli elections and how their system is different from ours. And this was right before the second set of elections. And now we're going into the 3rd set of elections, probably, if there's no government that's formed in the next day. But anyway, we have a speaker next week, and the topic is how to talk about Israel in these divisive times, and as with all the triggers that come around it. So we really hope that next week you can join us. It's Tuesday morning, the 17th, and usually we have a nice group of about 30 people. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Rabbi Feig.
Thank you, Sheila. Hi, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Can I talk about this real fast? All right, great. I want to, you probably saw from my email that I actually heard Dr. Berman a couple years ago when she spoke at Beit Tshuva, and it was an incredible, it was an incredible talk because it was a great reminder to us as parents that we need to parent, and we need to, and the thrust of her argument, and of course her book, which we're selling them, the Yeraz is selling them right over there, is the idea that we shouldn't feel bad about really holding our children, your children, to task for all the things they do, right? Setting limits, it's part of our job as parents. And although it's sometimes really difficult and really hard to do that, being the one to say no and setting clear boundaries and guidelines for our children is so important. So Dr. Berman is here today to kind of give us this reminder and a lot of other great advice, and she'll speak with you for a little bit. There'll be an opportunity to ask her some questions at the end. I didn't want to say this before, but we just kind of tried to set this up. We are going to record Dr. Berman, video record this, and we're going to try to put it up to Jagna. So I know there are a number of parents who couldn't make it this morning, and we're going to provide that opportunity for them to see it and for you to review it in case you want to kind of go back to some of the things that you spoke about this morning. So let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. Berman. Robin Berman is an associate professor of psychiatry at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. She is the author of Permission to Parent, How to Raise Your Child with Love and Limits, which was also published in Europe under the title Hate Me Now, Thank Me Later, which is an awesome title. Dr. Berman has appeared on the Today Show and Good Morning America, and her book has been featured in the Washington Post, London Times, and Time Magazine online. Dr. Berman is a founding board member of the Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital at UCLA, and an advisory board member of Matthew McConaughey's Just Keep Living Foundation. Dr. Berman is also on the Parents Magazine advisory board, is a regular contributor to Goop.com, and had a podcast recently featured on the Hello Sunshine website. She lives in LA here with her husband and 3 children. Please help me welcome Dr. Berman to Sinai Akiba Academy.
Thank you so much. Tell me, I'm short, so can you hear me now? Is it the right? Oops. Even in heels. Perfect. Okay. So permission to parent, why I said hate me now, thank me later, is because my oldest son, I'd say, can I do the dishes? Can you do the dishes? And he'd say, I got to go study. And I was like, hate me now, thank me later. Do the dishes, right? Do the dishes. I'm your parent. And when they came to publish in the United States, they said, Americans are going to get offended at the word hate. And so that's how sensitive and a little bit crazy we've all gotten. Oftentimes I want to get out my prescription pad and say to parents, you have my permission to parent. You have my permission. For some reason, it went from my generation of children were seen and not heard to children became the center of the universe. And you're supposed to befriend your kid, and you're supposed to make your kid happy. that's quite an impossible task, by the way. Good luck with that. If that's on your list, that I want to make my kid happy, you have signed up for a lifetime job of failure to launch, right? Failure to launch. You will never work yourself out of that job. They get an ice cream cone, they're happy, it drops, they're sad. Wow, you've got a big job ahead of you. Happiness is an inside job, and it can only come from love and boundaries. Period. End of story. One more thing I'm just going to start with because it's so interesting. Massive amounts of anxiety and depression. That's all I've seen is the up, 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 up. Now they're clear it's related to video games and to electronic use earlier and earlier and earlier. And it's also about less rules. How many people, just a show of hands, if you've ever heard of your parent or a grandparent or a great-grandparent have a story of struggle?
Yeah.
Hardship, struggle, coming to a foreign country, having to... That's the stuff that makes grit and resilience. So we don't want to shield our kids from, they didn't get invited to the party, so I'm going to go out and buy them a new toy. That says you can't handle disappointment. It also says, I can't handle seeing you disappointed, which we'll get into. So when I wrote my book, I interviewed parents. This is from a psychologist. I often ask moms of this generation, if you got on a plane and saw a 4-year-old pilot in the cockpit, how safe would you feel? You, not your kids flying the plane. That ship is going down, right? That little 4-year-old pilot is in charge. I have seen so many 4-year-old pilots in West LA. I don't want Chinese for dinner. Who asked the peanut gallery, right? I'm the parent, you're the child. This is I just want to make my kids happy. I mean, bowing to the throne of your child, right? And anything to shut them up and make them happy. This is can I say, shitload of work. This is a massive amount of work and will never work. This does not, you have to ask your kids, how are you going to solve the problem? What are you going to do to make it better versus mommy and daddy are going to fix it for you? Or personal concierge, right? That's a personal concierge. What can I do, Your Highness? Okay, or this, right? The FBI, Secret Service, also known as mom and dad. Is he okay? We can't let go of the tricycle. Clear the way. My kid is on a bike, right? Basically, that gives, so there was a bike whisperer at Circle of Children Preschool, and when I was writing my book, I'm like, what is bike whisperer? Who knew you needed to hire a bike whisperer to teach your kids? Now we have a potty trainer and a sleep expert and a bike trainer. Well, that used to be the parents, right? There are no experts. You stumble and fall. I have a 28-year-old. You stumble and fall all the way through. And those are moments rich in intimacy, right? So this whole overprotection thing gives a kid the message, you can't handle it. You can't. So this father is taken actually off of a father I interviewed. He said, my kid was great. I just couldn't let go of the back of the bike. Oh, that's going to be a little bit trying if you're trying to teach your kid to ride. So the bike whisperer says, this kid comes up. He's 4 years old. Am I going to fall? And he said, yes. Is it going to hurt? Yes. Then what? Then you're going to get up and try it again, and you're going to love riding a bike. Very different message than, you're never going to fall, I have you, right? It doesn't work. So I love that. I'm a little bit of a neuroscience geek. This is, sorry for the men in the audience, we don't have the similar slide yet, but this is a romantic love at the bottom. It lights up in very specific areas. When you have a child, that child actually changes the structure of your brain. That literally love on your child grows neuropathic ways in your brain. And I want to teach you today that you're going to grow those in your child with love and limits. That's ideally what we want, right? An internalized loving bond. You're not the only one with issues. I was severely adored as a child. I mean, I've been a psychiatrist for 25 years. Nobody has ever complained of adoration and love. You do not spoil a kid with love. You spoil them with stuff. Stop throwing stuff at them. Stop buying them stuff, right? You spoil them with a lack of limits. You spoil them without creating structure. You never can spoil with love. We do not write the story of childhood with the dry erase board. We write with a permanent Sharpie. So at 0 to 3, your brain is growing. The second biggest brain growth is adolescence in your entire life. Your brain grows your whole life, but those are the biggest pockets. Kids are the only ones born with a soft spot, the only species. Do you remember the soft spot on your baby's head? Why is that? It's so that the brain can grow, and then the skull closes, right? What part of the brain grows? Love and connection grows the brain. Isn't that incredible? That's why we were born with space for love, so that love grows the brain. So we literally change the neurostructure of our children's brains. That's a pretty daunting and inspiring thing to think about. So childhood is ingrained in the architecture of our hearts, but it's also literally ingrained in our brain. How many of you have such trouble getting over your own childhood? Show of hands. Yeah, I was like, everyone else is lying. That there's not something your parents did that you wish they didn't, or some comment you can still hear from your mother or father saying, why is it so tough to get over your own childhood? Because it's locked into your brain structure. So think about that when you're setting a limit with your child. Okay, this is a 3-year-old normal brain on the left, and this is a child in an orphanage with extreme neglect. It literally changes your brain. That's as clear of a picture as I can show it to you. So what do we want to do? Discipline is so hard for people these days. There's a word, it's 2 syllables. No! No! You don't have to scream no, you can just say, no, that's not safe. No, we don't do that. No, it's time to go to bed, right? This whole song and dance to go to bed, I chuckle every time someone comes in. I do parenting consultations in Brentwood, and there isn't a day that goes by where the song and dance, no wonder there's a go the fuck to sleep book, right? Because you guys are working so hard, like, oh, we're cuddling and then they're sneaking out of the room, and this one gets a story, and this one gets a song, and this is like, what the hell are you guys doing? And that is entirely too much work. Bedtime has a structure, a rhythm and routine. You know as parents, eat your spinach is good. You don't give ice cream for dinner. You give spinach. You guys are okay with that. But the minute they start suffering, I want my mom, that creates chaos. And chaos creates anxiety. And we Jews, we already have a monopoly on anxiety. we don't need to feel more anxiety, right? So discipline means to teach, not to shame or punish. So, I can't really read on that slide. I'm not a big, I think it says I'm not a big fan of hitting. So we want to teach, we don't want to punish, right? To punish is to make someone suffer. Teaching is the form, when you say I'm going to discipline my child, that actually doesn't mean to shame or punish. It means to teach, to discipline, right? So the A's and B's and C's and D's of discipline. This is my kind of guidebook of discipline. You're trying to raise a great kid, right? You're their ally, you're not their adversary. You want to come alongside them versus up from the top. Don't, no, right? You want to take the B, take the bark out of your voice. You want to mentor calm. You know, I know you want to stay up. I so get it, sweetie, bedtime 7 o'clock, right? Hold the feeling, hold the line. This applies for toddlers and for my 28-year-old son who's getting married. Hold the feeling, hold the line. Hold the feeling. Works for partners, works for friends. Hold the feeling. I know you, hold the feeling, I know you want that extra scoop of ice cream, but we only get one. So what does this do? This integrates a brain. Parents skip to the no. Let's just say we all are embarrassed of our kids. We all have ego and soul in parenting. Get the blood out of your head and into your heart. The soul of parenting is when you get that ego out and you hold their feelings. But we usually go to, don't steal that kid's toy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it. Versus, I know you want that little boy's toy. I know you want to play a video game. When you name it, you tame it. Name it to tame it. Name the feeling. This works with teenage angst. I so get you're disappointed in not being invited to that party, right? And we're just going to have to accept the fact you can't go, right? Then hold the feeling, hold the line. Take the bark out of your discipline. This is my favorite parenting move. I see this all over West LA. Stop screaming! Wow. How's my mentorship? You have to be the lesson before you teach the lesson. That's why you get to yoga. Breathe, pause, parent. In that space, magnificence happens. Okay, calm, consistent follow through. This is so the generation. If you do that one more time, we're leaving. If you leave, please just leave the party. Right? I saw a kid like stabbing his little candy apple. The mom's like, one more time. Then he stabbed the kid next to him. One more time. One more time, we're leaving. And I was like, could you go? Could you take the kid and go? Right? That's consistent follow through. Otherwise, you're literally the parent who cried wolf. We are the bunch of generations of the parent who cried wolf. So when I was doing this, you might even know this family, so I'm going to disguise them a little bit. When I was writing this book, everyone said, you have to interview this one Persian family. They have the best kids, not because they were all valedictorians, not because they all went to Ivy colleges, not because of this, and not because they started all these and the list went on and on. So I interviewed these two twins, and I said, they're adults now. Oh, were you ever disciplined? And this girl says, oh, let me tell you about the Disneyland story. Wait till you hear this story. You're going to want to put this in your book. Too bad HarperCollins had already published it. Couldn't go in, so you get the Disneyland story. The Disneyland story is brother and sister going to Disneyland, like 6 years old, in the car, all excited, and two twins, and the parents, the father took the day off from work, and they start like getting a little too excited and hitting each other. And the mom calmly turns around and says, I'm so sorry. Please stop doing that. We have 3 warnings, and if you can't stop, we're not going to be able to go to Disneyland. Part 2, the sister wants to get back at the brother, gives him a little pinch. She turns around again. I am so terribly sorry. You guys got to settle down, saying very calmly, because I know we're excited to go to Disneyland. She's honoring the feeling and holding the line. Honor, and we're going to have to go home if you can't get it together. Finally, they're in the parking lot of Disneyland, Magic Castle's in the back, and the brother gives one little kick to the sister to get even. And the mother turns around and says, oh, I cannot begin to tell you how badly I feel. We need to go home. And the husband in the front seat said, what? What are you talking about? I bought the tickets. I took the day off of work. She's like, trust me, right? So what surprised me about this story is that this 27-year-old is crying. And she's telling me the story. Well, I'm like a bloodhound for tears. I'm a psychiatrist. You cry the truth, right? You know, when tears come, I perk up. As I know, I'm onto something now. I've hit the mother lode, right? So I said, sweetheart, why are you crying at 27 about this Disneyland story? She said, I respect my mother so much. She gave me the message with so much love. She didn't say you should be ashamed of yourself and I'm embarrassed about you. She said, I feel as badly as you do and we're going home. She said she made me feel seen, she didn't shame me, and she held the boundary. And I respect her so much, right? Of course, I have to interview the son now. I say to him privately, have you, the twin brother, have you ever been disciplined? And he said, oh, I have to tell you this Disneyland story. So I act on it, and I hear the whole story over again. And then I said, so what did she do in the future to discipline you? And he goes, after the Disneyland story, she has total cred. Nothing. Her word was law. It was safe. She did what she said, and she said what she meant. So consistent follow through. The Disneyland mom gets the key for that. Discipline yourself before you discipline your child. Let me just let you in on a secret of the best teachers in the country that I interviewed from North Dakota to West LA. My inner mommy, teacher, daddy monologue is not my external monologue. So you could have your kid walk over their toys or not do their homework, and you could be thinking, you ungrateful piece of shit. I do so much for you. This is how you treat me, and how dare you can have a party with that kind of talk. But what comes out of your mouth is, I know, sweetheart, I know you want to play that video game, but it's time to finish your homework, right? Have a party in your own head, but choose your words with grace when they come out. So discipline yourself so that you're not the parent going, stop screaming. That parent needed to discipline themselves. We don't use that tone in this house. We don't use that. Nobody wants a whining tone, right? Empathize with your child's feelings. We talked about that. Name it to tame it. I feel like the highest form of romance in the entire world is to be seen and known and cherished for that person. To be seen. It's not flowers, it's not jewelry, it's I get you, I see you, I love you. And that's for sure the same for kids. Hold the feeling, hold the line. That's what we talked about. Being an emotional grown-up. So, how's your date, honey? I need a drink. A lot of us grew up with this dynamic where the child took care of the parent. Does that at all sound familiar to anybody in this room? The child had to handle the parent's needs. The only problem with that is what happens to the kid's needs. So a lot of that is just allowing yourself to know that kids need dependency needs, and they don't need you to be dependent on them that way. Raise yourself, raise your child. So the most common thing I get, so a guy read my book, Hate Me Now, Thank Me Later, in London, flies to my office, a little bit of pressure, flew from London. On your mark, get set, go, you have 1 hour to stop my kid from lying. Oh, pressure's on. I'm like juiced. I'm ready to go. Okay, what's my first question to him? Yes, who said that? A lot of that. Yes, do you lie? Well, just to get a closer parking spot, sometimes I say I'm an ER physician. That was the first one. And my kid's a younger age to get a cheaper menu. I was like, oh wow. And the lies kept going. So in order to have honest children, you have to be impeccable with the truth. They can't overhear you saying, tell them I have a headache, I don't want to go to the party. Because you've completely devalued your own cred as a parent. So being impeccable with the truth is how you create kids who don't lie. But kids all try lying, by the way. There isn't a kid in the world who hasn't tried lying. So what do we do with that? Do we punish them? Raise your hand if you think you take away the iPad. Oh, pretty good. So sometimes, okay. You don't punish lying, because you know what happens when you punish lying? They get sneakier and more clever at lying. Right? So what do? You talk about the value of integrity. So when you're playing sports and Jack says the ball's on the line, but Tom says the ball is at, who do you believe? Oh, Jack. Jack always tells the truth. Oh, why? Oh, he's trustworthy. If he says something, he means it. Oh, so who's a kid you want to be more like? You talk up integrity. When we have integrity, we have wholeness. Anytime we white lie ourselves, you erode your own integrity. There's no other way around it. No, you could get away with it, but you're the one who knows. So you erode so we want to talk up how cool it is to be honest. Parents crack me up. They say, don't yell, but they yell. They say, have patience, but they lose theirs. They say, don't lie, and they lie. Kids just copy their parents. It's not the kids who have to change, it's the parents. Seems like Captain Obvious to me. That's why I don't see kids in my office, I only see the parents. Because it's top down. We have to tweak ourselves. Is your mom okay? It's just a relic. Shh, keep oming. So we've all been there, and we're lying if we say we haven't been there. We're just lying if we haven't had those moments as parents. This was inspired by a patient I saw who said, sometimes my mom was a mom, sometimes a monster. I guess I was raised by a momster. I just didn't want to go down in history as a momster. So it shows, choose your tone. They're copying, they have bionic ears. They have bionic eyes. They're copying everything you do. They're copying the way you talk to your spouse. They're copying the way you talk to the guy at the grocery store. I would never yell at my kids. If you don't feel safe with your mom, you feel unsupported in the world. If you talk to your kids with love, they will be successful in life. Even though I'm only 16, I know this. Now, talking to them in love does not mean giving in to them. A lot of times, love says no. I interviewed Marianne Williamson for my book long before she ran for president, and she's just as a spiritual leader. She said, love says no. Love says no. Are you kidding me? What the hell? Are you kidding me? What the hell? If you're not modeling what you're teaching something else.